So, folks, we've got the one and only Nico Doniele Siegel in the house.
Hi.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks for coming in. You've been in Austin for how long?
I moved here in March
March. So just a couple of months.
from Arizona.
And what are your thoughts so far?
I really like it. I've spent, obviously before I moved here, I came back and forth a bit from Arizona, just checking it out, checking out the scene. I'm enjoying that there's more culture than Arizona had. I came,
culture.
oh, for sure. And for me, it's the food culture and it's the conscious community culture and the car culture. Those are my threes.
Yeah, you like the car. That's for sure. You got a fast ride and the conscious community. Tell us more about that. What does that look like for you?
So I like, if you're on some of the chats that I'm on, for Signal and those things, there's literally something to do every night with a meditation or a sound bath or a cacao ceremony or, there's a lot of that, people doing spiritual, conscious types of events going on, so I love that.
Yeah. And that was completely out of my realm before I moved to Austin. Like these beads right here.
I love that.
I would have never worn these until Austin.
Yeah. Drink the Kool-Aid. I love it.
Drink the cacao.
Drink the cacao, 100%.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Good. And I noticed just in the 10 minutes you've been here, we mentioned restaurants quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we've also, I'm well aware of what you have going on as far as your new business endeavor.
Yeah.
Why don't we go ahead and talk a little bit about that? Let's start off with the name and then the concept.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
It's called Marché, which means market in French. So easy, right?
Yeah.
So the concept is a fully organic regenerative market with a cafe piece.
Yeah.
So all you Los Angeles that are possibly listening, you can compare it to R1 Market in Los Angeles. But it's going to have more of a cafe feel. So that hot bar that you used to go to at Whole Foods before it was kind of garbage. Imagine it being more chic and really yummy food and be able to go grab your food, hot food, and know that it's like an organic piece of chicken and it's organic and regeneratively raised, vegetables and fruits and all kinds of things, and be able to sit and, work on your computer or have a coffee date there, smoothies, patisserie, bakery, and butcher. So grass-fed butcher. So yeah, we're kind of nailing it all, but I really want to focus being on that hot food bar, so you can actually grab a quick bite, bring it home, or.
And I think that Austin needs more of that, because to my understanding, there's a term that you use when it comes to the type of food that's going to be there, and there's only 2 other companies in town that offer that.
Yeah.
If that.
Some regenerative meat and those kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure. And no seed oils.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Austin, oh my gosh, they're going to literally eat that right up.
I hope so. That's the goal.
Gosh, I'm pretty full of it today. That's great. Yes. Wow. And where'd this inspiration come from? I gotta know.
So I am a health and wellness coach. So that's where my background is, with a background in hospitality over the years, and we can deep dive in that. But and I opened a fully organic fine dining restaurant in Scottsdale, Arizona in 2022. And so this is kind of like my take on a fast casual, but really also a place to celebrate the farmers that are doing the right practices and be able to give local farmers a place to put their food, as well as giving the community a fully organic market, because the most SKUs of organic fruits and vegetables and food is Central Market, and they only have 150 SKUs for that big market, right? So that's our only real competition is that, and it's kind of a bummer. So we're looking to change that.
What blows my mind is that Central Market is an offshoot of H-E-B grocery store.
Yeah.
It's not Whole Foods.
Right.
So you're telling me H-E-B has more SKUs than Whole Foods?
Whole Foods I think I was meaning more of like the general stores that you find in Austin.
Got it.
I'm sorry, I should have added Whole Foods to that. Whole Foods
all right.
probably, would be the main, but when I look at like what is more eclectic, and if you go to Central Market, they have music some nights. They do, they have amazing hot bar. They have a really good cheese section. It's insane, and they're pretty like boutique-y, for how big they are. So that's kind of that's why I compare it to that. But we're not going to be that big.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. That's good. Now, what can people? Let's say somebody walks in, right? What are they going to expect as far as the atmosphere and the service levels?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I really believe really strongly in hospitality, and I think we've lost that hospitality piece through, the pandemic and everything that's, everything that's gone on. We've lost some hospitality, and I think that's what people were itching for when they came back into restaurants and things. And my big concern is just making sure everybody feels welcome and they feel like this is a cool, chic place to be. Like I think it's going to be just different than like a brochure. And if you've seen some of the renderings, which you can find on my website now, it's got a French feel to it. So Hollywood Regency meets Art Deco meets like France. And so it's going to be different than anything I think in Austin. So they're going to feel that. And everybody that works there, I really want them to be able to be to be of service. And that's a big thing that I think we miss sometimes. Even like a store is like, how can I help you? What are you looking for? What, even that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, very few amounts of stores come to mind when I think of good service. Very few.
Even restaurants.
Nordstrom kind of does a good job most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But restaurants too, of course, right? Of course. And I think that weighs heavily on their rankings. If they don't have good service, they can have great food, but if they have bad service, it's not going to work. Okay, very good. And you probably, I could be wrong here, but you seem to be pretty artistic. Is that safe to say?
For sure.
Right. You used to style hair.
I did.
You got tattoos, which is a form of art on you. It's expressive, right? Did you create this whole idea from scratch, all on your own? I'm talking about the interior. Because the pictures look amazing. The renderings look amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm super excited. Yes. I mean, it has some feel. The guy that did the renderings did all the interior millwork and all the design details for my last concept. And so he knows my feel. But yes, I'll go back to what I'm inspired by is that kind of like Hollywood Regency 30s Art Deco kind of vibe. And I lived in Europe for 2 years. So I lived in Italy and I worked in Paris. So
Paris. It's awesome.
And so I take a lot of my inspiration from those years of my life when food was just so exceptional and the vibe is so cool and there's just such a neat. Paris is such a cool city, and they do food like no one else, and Italy does too. But there's something about the elevation of the French food and the kind of their look and their vibe, and they're minimalist, but like kind of old school. But so that's kind of where I get my inspiration. But coming from scratch, yeah. So those are my inspirations for the design and where it comes from is one of my past lives.
Now, other than styling hair, that was one of your hats that you've worn in your life. What about strictly art? Is that a part of your wheel, so to speak?
Not necessarily. I think I did a lot of creative. I would create wigs and hair pieces for sets and stuff like that. So that's almost like sculpting hair, right? So and then makeup. I did makeup as well. So hair and makeup for all the fashion weeks and stuff in Milan and Paris for a few years, and then I had an agent in LA, and So I think that's the closest art as I got is like the form of hair and makeup.
Well, you definitely have some artistic flair if you can do something like that.
Yeah.
I couldn't paint somebody's face.
Yeah, it's true, right?
Yeah, really. Yeah. Color shading and all that. Now, you're here in Austin. You're super fired up about this business endeavor. It's probably taking up the most of your time. Is that safe to say?
Well, right now it will. Right, because we're in fundraising.
Oh, yeah.
So I think as soon as that is a go, and we're looking at locations. I have a broker that's working with me on location right now. So as soon as that location is secured, and we go into building, and that's when it's going to be go time. When I'm going to be really swamped because I have a few other endeavors I work on the side right now until it's go time. So.
Whoa! When do you expect go time to be?
I think in the next 2 months would be at a good place to put a LOI down.
Dang, it's right around the corner. You got to be pumped.
Manifesting.
So I mean, you don't have to it's not full-time, overtime all the time right now. What is taking up the majority of your time?
I work with another company called Unicorn Universe, which is a business connection company with a conscious kind of, soul, which is really cool. Project manager for them. And I met them through a family office that I was project managing for, a well family office from Salt Lake City. So I project manage and play with those guys. I help make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to do on their calls and, meeting investors and all that great stuff. And I'm also, so that's
Going.
yeah, it's fun. And then I'm
Yeah.
also going back and forth to Arizona where my restaurant was. I'm helping a woman open a restaurant there. I'm consulting for her restaurant. So building menu with one of my chefs from my old restaurant, designing the menu, building the team, setting up POS, setting up systems, getting everything in place, hiring. Yeah, it's a lot, especially because she's never owned a restaurant before, but she's so lovely, and I'm so excited for her. And she wanted to have kind of a healthier flair. So the
She's talking to
menu,
the right person.
yeah. So the menu design was a huge piece of why I was brought in.
Have you been to that Erewhon spot?
What's that?
Erewhon?
Oh yeah,
Have you been there?
yeah.
What's it like?
So that's a very very gourmet grocery store, very celebrity driven.
$10 for a cup of milk.
Yeah, for sure. Some of them, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because people, they kind of bitch about the smoothie prices, and I threw this out one day, and they're like, "Oh," and I was like, "Listen, they're full of organic, fruits and vegetables and sea moss, and and some of them are just because it's a celebrity smoothie, but they do give back with those smoothies. But I look at it this way: I was like, well, how much was your craft cocktail on Friday night? And it's not even a meal, right? So people pay $23 for a craft cocktail, but they're pissed about a $14 smoothie, and it makes me laugh. I'm like, that has like sea moss and this and that in it, and they're like, oh yeah, you're right. But yeah, our one is known to be quite expensive. $12.99 for regenerative eggs, and I was there like during 4th of July. I was kind of doing some investigative research on them. And they have, definitely have a vibe that we are mimicking to a certain degree as far as like their hot bar. We want to make something similar to that. But I would like to keep our prices, still celebrating the farmers and getting them paid and making money. But organic and regenerative food, no matter how you cut it, is more expensive,
That's okay.
So, but I think there's people that are willing to take care,
there are.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're here
Yeah, for sure.
in the conscious community,
Yep.
right?
I think even the whole community is starting to get, more woke about it.
Yeah, Austin is definitely a woke city. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I think in the right ways, I feel Austin has a good balance of, consciousness and still, not going so crazy like LA. LA was really hard for me to stay there,
Yeah.
I really like Austin more with that.
So let me ask you this, because people can't right now go into the shop, but they can reach out to you for other things, right? I'm sure you have time to help.
Sure.
So let's say somebody wanted help with something. What would you be able to help them with right now?
Well, I'm a health and wellness coach,
Yep.
so I do coach people as well. So people, around their lifestyle and their food and why they do what they do and their mindfulness. So I also take clients, not super frequently, but sometimes for that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the consulting? Would you do some more of that? Or
Yeah, sure. I
how's
mean,
that?
we have to see how much longer I have to be able to do that. This should be wrapped up by September 1st, so it's going to be probably pretty good timing for me. But yeah, I mean, I would absolutely, if there's a restaurateur that would like to, expand upon how to source and what kind of foods are good and changing up their menu. I come from a background of hospitality. My father was a certified executive chef. We owned restaurants when I was 3 years old starting. And so I grew up with this palate for food, and I didn't really even knew I had it till I started tasting and developing my menu, and I guess I was like, oh, I guess I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah, that's great. Shoot, I was going to ask you something about, oh, no, this was something I was going to bring up about the way you operate. So one thing about Nico, she goes to her clients' facilities, right? Weren't you just out there?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I've been consulting. I'm flying twice a month to their restaurant and helping them build it. Yeah.
I think that's huge. It's great. Yeah, way to take your position and get fully immersed in it. None of this all full mobile nonsense.
Yeah.
We're doing. No, you fly out there and you go help.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
That's really good. So now we're gonna have a little fun. Well, at least we'll see here. Now we're gonna hop on the Magic School Bus and we're gonna go take a blast from the past.
Oh my gosh, how funny. Okay.
Yeah. the stories you share here are aimed to help others, right? Because we believe in giving back on this podcast. We want people to know that they're not alone. And I always showcase people that are thriving in one regard or another. Okay, it's safe to say that you are. So we're going to talk about the road that you traveled to get here, the good, the bad, and everything in between.
For sure.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Scottsdale. Nice place.
Yeah.
Their landscaping on their streets are nicer than most people's
It's
front
so
yards.
clean. It's ridiculous.
I
Yeah.
just want to take pictures of their freaking landscape.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a pretty clean city for sure.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah. Not a leaf out of place. So you grew up in Scottsdale. How long were you there till you moved out?
So I was born in San Diego, and then my parents moved right to Colorado, and I was 5. I moved to Arizona. I lived there till I was about 28. Yeah, I mean, I moved to LA 2000 and 2004. No, San Diego 2004. So I was there 20-something years.
It's a good chunk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, when you're in Scottsdale, that's like pretty much the most when you can remember. Because 0 to 5 is you might have glimpses of things, but not like much. So you went to elementary school. Were both your parents in the house?
Mm-hmm.
They were.
Yeah,
Okay.
they were married until my mom passed.
Okay. Now, did you take the school bus or did you get dropped off?
Took the bus.
Took the bus. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Horrible place.
I know. It's funny waiting for it, but I feel like everybody's parents wanted them to grow character or something, and that's why they did it. Not that they couldn't drop us off, but it's just a thing you did in our, back in the day or whatever. I don't know.
The bus is a place of growth.
Yeah.
That's where you learn a lot of stuff about a lot of things.
I know.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So you get on the bus, and when you got off and you're about to walk in the door of your house when you're in elementary school, what was the vibe that you got? How did you feel every day walking in the house?
Oh gosh. It depends. So I think we had, great times in our life where, my parents were doing well financially, and then times they weren't. I had horses, so I often thought like, oh God, it's 110. I've got to go shovel horse crap. So it was like that was the deal, right? It was like if you want to have horses, and you get to shovel the poo. So I definitely had to go home and do that every day after school. But there was times where I think that were harder in my early years when my dad was working at a hotel and restaurant away in Chicago, and my mom was at home, and to kind of like make ends meet, she had a residential care home for elderly. She was a nurse, so we lived with the old people. So it wasn't always so cool to like go home to all the old people, and so I would help her out and stuff. So, there was times where I was fine with it, but there was times like you dread, you didn't want to bring your friends over, that kind of stuff. So that was hard, but they eventually rented a second house and turned that, and we moved to do that. But yeah, I have to say I was grateful for all the opportunities I got to have horses, and that was my sport. Like I didn't go do sports in school. I rode, so that was my sport until I learned to drive and found boys in high school. So
don't worry, we're gonna talk about that. Just you wait. So you're in elementary school. You had to do the horse thing every day.
Pretty close, I think. Yeah.
Pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you ever get in trouble in school? In elementary school?
Not really.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Our last guest said that she went to the principal's office only 2 times in elementary school. And I'm thinking to myself, there's people out there that never went to the principal's office in their entire life.
Yeah, I don't think I remember anything like that. I mean, I went to Catholic school first till 5th grade, and then I went to public school. So I never was really a troublemaker, I don't think.
Well, that's good. What about defining moments in your elementary years?
I think leaving Catholic school and going to a public school.
What grade was that?
5th grade.
In 5th grade. Okay.
You were just like,
I
these kids so bad. Like it was like so different. I was like, oh my gosh. I remember this boy would get up and like flip off the teacher. She'd turn around. I'd be like, you're going to hell. Like, because I was so brainwashed from the Catholic school for,
Sin.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So I kind of had that, that mind state as a kid, because that's all I knew from kindergarten after Montessori school to, till 5th grade, I was in Catholic school. And so it was just a whole ball game. So I think that was a defining moment. Like, this is new. This is crazy.
Did you ever get hit by your teachers?
Catholic school, I don't think they were doing that at my school.
Okay.
I don't remember getting the ruler or any of that stuff, but I think that did go on in some Catholic schools for sure.
Anything weird happened to you in elementary school?
Weird.
That might be unique to other kids' experience.
Yeah, I don't know. Trying to think. Nothing that stands out.
Okay. All right. Okay. Very good. Very good. So relatively neutral experience.
Yeah.
First through 5th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Catholic school. Yeah, you're just scared for your life every day.
All right. So look,
Yeah.
parents, if you want your kids to be good, just make them scared every day.
Yeah. I don't think it's great for your self-esteem as a kid. I think it really wipes it out when they're telling you you're going to go to hell for everything you do. It was pretty gnarly.
Well, I see some foreshadowing here.
Yeah.
So you get on into middle school. You're living in the same. You moved to a rental at this point.
Yeah, I think.
Or a different house.
I think they bought another house. They bought another house. I don't think they were renting. I think they bought. So they had two.
You moved, but like in the close proximity to your other
Yep,
spot?
1 block over.
One block.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had the horses at the one place, and then
How convenient.
Yeah.
Did you have to run the horses when you lived in the new house?
Yes.
You did.
Yeah.
You were the schlep on the farm.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. It was like inner city, Scottsdale, Phoenix, little houses that had horse properties. And then there was a big central arena that you could take the horses to. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, of course, because that's a Scottsdale lifestyle.
I know.
You get your horses, you bring them to the central arena.
Yeah.
And you walk past the nice landscape. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. It wasn't too hard of a life, that's for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, right? Perspective here.
Yeah.
There's some kids out there that don't have to shovel horse manure.
Oh, no. Trust me, a lot of my friends were those kids.
Your friends?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, your Scottsdale buddies.
Yeah.
Some kids, they don't have to work, period.
Yeah.
For majority of their adolescence.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Again, went to school with those kids.
And it just makes me curious if all that, because it's manual labor, it's hot, like you said, 110 degrees. Scottsdale's freaking blazing. I wonder if that has anything to do with your entrepreneurial success. I wonder.
Sure. I think, understanding that, that you have to be accountable for, things and, making your kids kind of work for something is not a terrible idea, and starting that young is I think it's important to show, these are your horses. You want them, you're going to take care of them. So
yeah,
I don't think that it was a bad thing.
Okay. Yeah. And it wasn't like they were punishing you doing it.
No.
You were like, all right, this is just part of the program.
It is what it is. Yep.
Okay. So you're in middle school. This could be a very shape-shifting time for people. It could be awkward, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hormones are running rampant. Who knows what goes on in middle school, right? I kind of blanked it out of my memory.
I know. I barely remember too, honestly.
So picture this. Picture you're walking in the front doors of your middle school. Do you remember what it looked like?
I went to 2. The longest was Desert Shadows. So kind of remember the playground, honestly, more than the middle school. Yeah, I kind of remember like the basketball courts and that kind of area.
What kind of trouble did you get in middle school?
Again, I don't think I got a lot of trouble.
Seriously? What? Sometimes it's just perspective, right? I got in trouble elementary school,
Did you?
middle school, high school, all the time. All day, every day I was getting in trouble. And I wasn't a bad kid. I was just had a lot of energy. Didn't know where to put it.
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
I don't remember getting in too much trouble. I think I had a lot of stuff with my horses too after school. So it's like, that's what I did,
Okay.
I'm boring.
Your parents at this point, right? Everything's still great at the household?
Yeah, I think, when growing up with my dad being away a lot, I think that that caused some tension because he would come home and try to, reprimand me and stuff. And I'm like, you haven't been here for like a month and a half. Who are you? Kind of a thing. So there was some definite tension around, our relationship. And I think that sculpted our relationship as I grew up. And then since spent time repairing that, but there was a big divide because he was traveling for work so much. And, people don't think that's a thing, but I think it's really, there is something when your dad's not around, even though my parents were together and in love and, spent, 52 years together before my mom passed. I think, there is opportunity that, it can affect you if you don't have your dad there in those kind of formable years.
Yeah, our past guests, I asked her to send a message to her parents at the end of the episode. And the first thing she said about her dad was, "Dad, I wish you were there more," because he was a trucker.
Yep.
Yeah. So obviously had an impact.
It does. It's so interesting. Yeah. Because we lean on our mom a lot as females, but your dad indicates how you love and how you're in relationship.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It tends to be that way, it tends to be the opposite sex. Kind of helps really develop how you fall in love and who you fall in love with and how you are in relationship until you heal those parts of you that have been tweaked from that, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll get more into that. Don't you worry. We're going to get more. No. Now, in middle school, did you pick up any instruments?
No, I played the saxophone when I was in 5th grade for 1 year and then was over it.
Yeah, I feel that. My parents made me play trumpet for 5 years. 5 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My mom wanted me to play piano and I'm so pissed that I said no because it would have been amazing to be able to play piano. I would be so bummed. I mean, I could still learn, but.
Yeah, we didn't get the luck of the draw on that one, did we? What's your most memorable moment in your elementary or your middle school years?
Middle school, I had my first kiss. 6th grade.
Why was that so memorable?
Your first kiss. You don't think that's memorable? I think it's.
Well, out of all things.
Yeah.
Out of all things you picked, that's what comes up. Interesting. And then you also mentioned boys in high school.
Boys in high school.
Yeah, you talked about once you got introduced to boys.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Okay. We're painting a picture here. I could be on something. I could not be. I have no idea, but we're gonna have some fun. You got through again relatively unscathed, right? Everything was kind of good in middle school. Well, again, congratulations.
Thanks.
You hit the lottery. It's great. Okay, so we're gonna transition to high school. Well, I know that you switched middle schools. About what?
I did. I can't remember which year it was. I think it was 7th grade. Is that 7th grade still middle school, right?
Yeah, 7th and 8th grade.
Okay.
Yeah, 9th grade's high school.
That's right. So it's 6th through 8th is middle school?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's been a long time, my friend.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think one of the last years I went to a different,
Okay. How was that?
It was fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. That's great. It's so rare for me to hear that I'm kind of like, oh, okay.
It's high school that I didn't like.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now let's talk a little bit about high school, Nico. You're in the same house, a block away from the horse house.
No, we moved.
You moved for
that's
the third
why.
time.
No, that was I think why I changed middle schools.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I went to that middle school to high school over there. Bigger horse property. Yeah, that house was really cool. Yeah, high school. I didn't love high school.
Tell us what happened.
I think kids are pretty mean in high school. I think that's when it starts to get, kids are mean in general, I think, I didn't have a ton of bullying or anything like that. But I don't think I think I was more of a theater kid than I was like a cheerleader or any of those
Really?
kind of kids. Yeah.
You go with the art again.
Yeah. So I was in theater. And I feel like I felt like I really didn't fit in. I didn't love school. I just was like, I wanted to be creative and, that kind of a thing. So, and I started going, at 17 or something, I started with a fake ID, going to see shows and bands and,
How'd you get that fake ID? Okay. I got to share this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hopped on a train to Harlem when I was 18, I think.
Nice.
Yeah. Because that was what my 18-year-old brain thought. I said, where do you get a fake ID? Harlem. Because I lived about an hour north of the city.
Oh, wow.
I paid $25 for the round-trip ticket. I got off the train at MLK Boulevard, and I walked down it, and I went into all these stores saying, hey, you know where I can get an ID around here? And like, you a cop? You a cop? I'm like,
100%.
oh, no, I'm 18. And I'm like, oh. And I found this Photoshop. And
That's amazing.
and they made me an ID, and I actually bought beer that night in my local gas station.
That's epic.
So I freaking won.
That's epic.
I was
That was a good idea.
only one of my friends that could buy beer at the gas station. But yeah, anyways.
That's so funny.
I digress. So you got the ID, and it was to get into shows.
Oh, yeah. To go see bands.
Huh.
That was a thing for sure.
Your parents wouldn't take you?
She would, actually. My mom
Yeah.
was super down for shows if there was one that she could go to, but we like to go all the time, so.
Yeah. So I think it's important for you to share the fact that you feel like you didn't fit in because for those of you that don't know Nico, you're very well connected. And you've got a massive friend group. You're probably making more friends you can ever handle, especially being here in Austin.
Yeah, I'm starting to. It's really nice.
Yeah.
I've had some great girlfriends that have introduced me to their great girlfriends, which is super cool. I haven't met a lot of guys yet, so we'll see about that. But
Well, you probably got to keep your guard up, right? Yeah. So just take your time. The right one will fall across your lap. That's hilarious. That's great. So, okay. Anyways, you felt a little out of place. How come?
I don't know. I think, again, I feel like I didn't fit in with, the cheer people and the academic people. And I was kind of too cool to be a theater nerd, but I really liked the arts.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just, when you're a kid, I think, and especially in your teens, and I think this is so valid with what's going on right now with everything in the world, is like your teens, you don't know who you are. You're just kind of like trying to figure out, your prefrontal cortex is not even developed. You're just kind of like going with whatever and trying to figure it all out. And so I literally got my GED to get out of high school because I didn't like it.
It was that bad?
Yeah, I just didn't like it. And then I ended up going to a community college.
Any harsh times
With what?
in high school? Did you ever feel down?
I think my depression and stuff like that I had when I was a kid was closer to my younger years. Sorry, my nose keeps. My younger years when my dad was traveling a lot. So by high school, I don't think I was in that headspace.
What would you say caused that depressive state?
I think maybe my dad not being around.
Yeah. Made you feel, was it because like something was missing?
Maybe, yeah. I think I think that there is a piece that was like, I think now that I look back on it, it's like the male role model, the figure that being there and being supportive. He was to the best of his ability, but if he wasn't there, it was difficult, and it wasn't forever, but it was some years in that kind of formative stage of my young childhood, 12, 13, 14, around that time. I think that's really a crucial time.
Do you remember what your self-talk was like
No,
in those times? No. Yeah.
I don't.
Because that's back there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Let's tie this off while we're talking about it, because I don't want to miss this as we go along
Yeah.
the storyline here.
Sure.
You said earlier that you worked on it
Mm-hmm.
in your adult life.
Mm-hmm.
What did the work look like, and where are you at now?
Yeah. So, I think it also took work from him. He and my mom went to some relationship parenting courses so he could learn how to communicate with his daughter, because he raised two sons before me. And so that was helpful to see him kind of do his own work and change. And so as, the last 10 years, I've done my own work, my own inner work, and really looking at relationship that comes from father figure with relationship coaches. So they can help you kind of walk through and find what pieces maybe have been caused from, that lack of the father figure, and why you choose the way you choose and you do what you do because of your past. And people call it trauma or whatever. I think everybody, has just past that creates future. And doing the work and looking at forgiveness on my own for all that, the forgiveness piece sets you free. Really does. And I think, when you realize that your parents are just doing the best they could,
Yeah.
that's a huge part of being able to forgive the relationship, him not being there, and then being, bossy and angry when he'd come home, and, I'd be like, where have you been, and so I think, if you can lean into learning how to forgive for these past traumas and past things in your relationships with your family, you can get a lot further than, living in your trauma. I think that's where there's a piece. It's like, okay, you discover it, you call it trauma, but are you living in it, or are you finding forgiveness for it and moving through it and working through it? Because if you keep living in it and you're talking about it all the time and you're, oh, I'm this way because of my dad, it's like, okay, cool. You can use that for a certain amount of time, and then you need to work through it. Yeah, get over it, man. Like I have a hard time with that, the trauma relating constantly. So I think for me, it was a big aha moment to just go, the forgiveness piece is what's going to set me free of any of this. That answered it. And I'm not disregarding trauma by any means. I hope it didn't come off like that, but I feel like there's a lot of people that live in their trauma, right? And if their dad was abusive or yelled a lot or whatever, and that's kind of where he was at points in my life, and
He yelled?
oh yeah,
Why?
it's just how he was raised.
So okay.
They don't know any different until they maybe get their help. So, and if they do, great. If they don't, you have to accept them for who they are and, decide how you move forward.
Yeah, my father yelled a lot too. All the time. Like a grouchy grizzly bear.
Yeah, it's the era, I think, and how they were raised. And I think, Greg, I think it's so cool because we have so much help now. Like we have so many resources, so many people talking about this stuff now. They didn't.
Oh, they didn't have YouTube. You could just search how to do something.
Like 100 coaches on Instagram, or, help that's just out there through scrolling. And, I think there's some huge gratitude I have for how much this is out in the world, especially in the United States, that it's out there to be able to heal from these things. And, and that's another thing. It's like if they don't have the same tools as we had. So
I want to highlight the fact or the notion of doing the work. Okay. Yeah. So if you hadn't taken action to seek help and healing here, you might never have ran across the concept of forgiveness. You might not have, right? You might have gotten lucky, and someone might have just said, "Hey, how you really doing?" And then you kind of open up this can of worms and stuff, and then maybe hit that, maybe. But you were intentional about it, okay? And I think the real golden message is that if you're dealing with something, there is the opportunity to put in the work, so to speak, and the answers are there. They're there.
For sure.
Just going to find them. Yeah. Your dad's around, living in...
He's in Surprise, Arizona, which is like 50 minutes from Phoenix. It's kind of out there, but yeah.
Surprise, Arizona.
Surprise, there's nothing out here. That's what I always say.
You gotta wonder how they came up with these names.
I know.
City Surprise, Arizona. I'd love to know the story about that.
Totally.
So he's out there. You guys chatted up sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, I see him when I go for consulting. And we took a trip 2 years ago, did the whole Amalfi Coast, and I took him to Gracie's Park Creek as well. So, yeah, we have a much different relationship now.
That's great. Yeah, that's way to do the work.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Love that. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
and he has too. He's grown a ton. He's in his 70s, but you can just see he's continuously doing stuff to work on himself, which is cool.
My father changed at the drop of a hat. He was always very rough around the edges. Very rough, like grouchy. Yeah. Same. And then all of a sudden, a major life event happened in our family, and now he's like a soft white bunny rabbit. Just doop, doop, doop.
You woke up to
what?
You don't need to live that way. It's not fun to live angry all the time, right? It's just it's such a bad vibration, dude. It's like, oh, why are you so freaked out? Why are you so upset all the time? It sucks to live like that,
What's powerful about seeing that change, and I'm sure you can say the same about with your father, is that it shows you that people can change. And that
no matter how old they are,
can change.
100%.
Yeah, very cool. Now, high school, you're out of high school, you got your GED, you said, I'm out of here, I don't need to do this. Way to take action on that, though. Not a lot of kids would have the gumption to go ahead and say, I want to leave and let me do this instead. Yeah. What'd you do right after that?
I went to community college for international business, and what was the other course I was taking? I just stayed there for like a semester, and I didn't like that either.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to school for, I think I took a couple years off, and then I went to school for holistic healing, Chinese bodywork, Chinese medicine.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Where?
Southwest Institute for Healing Arts in Scottsdale.
Okay. Okay. Why'd you choose that?
I think it was even back then in my early 20s, was really drawn to, so we're out of high school, out of that age group now, but I was really drawn to, an alternative healing methods and, integrative ways of taking care of the body and this would be before anybody was doing cupping and gua sha and all the things that you see now that are so in acupuncture and all the things that are so popular. And now, I mean, I got a job at a salon doing massage with these bodywork techniques, and people will be like, why do I have bruises on my body? What's going on? So this was back there a while before it got really kind of popular and known. So did I answer your question?
Yeah, you
Okay.
did. Yeah, I want to know why you did that. Why you chose that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And do you still do things in that space at all to date?
The Chinese bodywork and that, no.
Or okay.
But obviously being an integrative nutrition coach, there's components of Eastern philosophy in that as well.
I'm seeing a lot of patterns with you and healing, as well as restaurants, food, and art in the middle.
Yep.
Huh. Is there anything else?
I mean, hair was a huge part of my life for 18 years.
Hair. Now, did you get into the hair right after the holistic healing time period? You did.
Yeah, I went to hair school then after that.
So what about your...
After failing miserably trying to do gua sha and cupping and things on people because they were freaked out by it back in the day. So I ended up going, well, I guess I'm just going to go to hair school because nobody wants to get body work done.
Okay.
I was pretty discouraged by some experiences with that, unfortunately. Now it's super cool to do, right? But back then
social media, everybody's doing it.
Cupping and all that, yeah, of course.
Now, you transitioned out of that space and went right into hair. We didn't miss anything, right? And you did hair for 18 years.
Yeah, so I went to school, and then I immediately went to go work in an academy to be an instructor. I really love guiding and teaching. And so I became an instructor at an academy, and I also wanted more education. So I worked at the academy, and I worked in a salon, I think, for a short time in Arizona, and then I moved to San Diego to work at this Paul Mitchell Academy.
Nice. Top tier.
Yeah. Yep. So then the art director owned that academy. So I went and got to work at his salon on the weekends, too. So I was working at the academy in the salon. I was a color specialist there for 4 years, and then I ended up taking a job at one of the LA Paul Mitchell schools and moved to LA. So because I wanted to freelance more, and I was finding my talent in that set work kind of stuff where I was just styling hair. And then I left to become the director of education at the LA salon or LA school.
What a resume. Goodness gracious. It's like a whole book.
Yeah, I've got a lot. I've got a big past life. I'm a little bit of an achiever when it comes to I'm going to do this, and I just go do it. I don't know.
I want to do this. It should be that simple. You say, I want to do this, and then you go do it. Yeah. Now, what's going on in the background, right? Because you're obviously working. You're becoming best in class. What's going on in the background in those years when you first got into the hair scene?
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, what kind of friends were you hanging out with? What kind of things were you doing in the area?
That's when I was really partying.
Partying?
Yeah.
What did that look like?
I just drank a lot.
Drank
and partied.
For a holistic healer, I'm surprised.
Oh yeah, I was off the rails for a while there. I think I can't remember what time in my. I think after that, it wasn't when I was at the school. I wasn't crazy then. I think in your 20s and early 30s, everybody drinks a lot. Yeah. So
has that ever gotten you into trouble?
I mean, what good does it do anybody?
Now, Nico, you know what I mean.
Trouble, did I ever get a DUI or anything like that?
I don't know.
No, I never that.
You stayed out of trouble?
I didn't get that kind of trouble. No law trouble.
This? You gotta teach me your ways.
No law trouble.
I got a freaking fake ID ticket when I was 20.
Did you really?
Yeah, 3 days before my birthday.
I had really good success with fake IDs. I don't know. I think I looked older or something. But yeah, I was also bartending. And that's where I worked in restaurants too, off and on as a kid. My first job in a restaurant hospitality was I was a busser at an old folks home.
You're kidding.
In Scottsdale. Yeah,
Sweet.
I know. and we had these awful outfits we used to wear. And then I started cocktail waitressing, and then I became a bartender. And so peppering in doing hair and bartending, in Scottsdale, I bartended a lot of years at some big nightclubs, and I'm sure in that point before I went to hair school, and I was definitely drinking a lot and partying a lot.
Did it ever get out of hand?
I mean, yeah, I think none of that's good. I think we would drink before work, drink all night at work. I think that was the culture, and it's super toxic.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, low energy.
Yeah.
Low frequency.
Yep.
Yeah, all that alcohol. No good for nobody. Watch out. Okay. So you're in the restaurant scene. You're drinking a lot. You're partying a little bit. That's fair. You're in your 20s. It's okay.
Early 30s, yeah.
Yeah. So what about relationships? Can't imagine you waited till you were 30 to get a boyfriend.
Oh no, yeah.
Where were they?
I mean, am I supposed to go through every one of them?
How about
I think I dated mostly in my 30s, late 20s and early 30s. I had most majority of my relationships. I had the guy that tattooed my arm was my boyfriend after hair school, I think, or right before hair school.
Yeah.
He was a very significant person in my life. He's still lovely. Still know him.
Did you almost marry him?
I didn't.
You ever been married?
No.
Just kidding me.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
No. My last boyfriend, we were talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't do it. What happened?
Thank God.
What happened there?
Oh, it's just lots of things. That's a whole other hamster wheel. We're gonna go on and talk in circles. No, I was kidding.
Yeah. Okay. Well, fair. We'll leave it at that then. So yeah. Okay. You're dating regularly throughout this time period. You're focused on your career. You did hair literally for 18 years. That's almost retirement. 20 years in the military, and you're retired.
Yeah.
Right.
Like COVID basically is when I stopped doing it, for a career.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you developed this knack, this skill set of consulting. Mm-hmm. Not just anything, but restaurant owners. What?
Yeah.
Okay. So when did you open up for business for that?
Recently. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just recently. So this is kind of like my first real consulting. I've helped a couple people with menu stuff and writing menus, and this is my first going in, hiring the team. But I just did this with my own restaurant a couple years ago, so it's not super hard for me, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah. So this is the first proper full, nose to tail consulting.
Dang, that's fired up. To go from so many different extremes.
I know.
Hair and then consulting.
Yeah.
Right? It's they're opposites.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah.
You got to have a certain kind of mindset and an understanding of business.
Sure.
So where'd that come from?
Well, so we'll fast forward a little bit. So doing hair at the academies, and then moving to LA. And then from LA, I started freelancing, so working on fashion sets and fashion shoots and things. And then I got an agent there for that. And then I started going to Italy for Fashion Week. I had somebody that plugged me into the Italian fashion scene. Excuse me. And then I ended up getting an agent in Italy and working in Milan.
That's cool.
And so I stayed there, and then I got a visa. I was going back and forth because if you don't have a visa, you still have to come back after a couple months. So you're doing that for about a year, and then I finally got a visa to be an English teacher. Right. That's how we did it. And then I worked the shows for another 8 months or so. And then I came back to LA. In 2015, I moved to LA, back to LA. End of 15. And then I went back and did some fashion weeks still. I would fly back and do them. And then I got into a salon on Abbot Kinney in Venice. And then I got an agent in LA, another agent in LA. So there's agents for hair and makeup artists. I got a really great agent, and I worked, 2 days a week at the salon, and then I had to keep the rest of the week open for my agent. And so I did that. So I guess the entrepreneurial spirit is kind of always been with me. And so once I left the agency, I figured listen, I can probably make more money out of the salon not with an agent, and just doing this on my own. And so I kind of left the salon. I brought all my clients to, I rented a loft space in Marina Del Rey. And I set up a hair chair, and like my dad helped me plumb like a shampoo bowl that you could roll into the kitchen. And I just set up shop there, and I was doing really amazing financially, just doing hair, like, and I would take some on-set jobs here and there. But, it was interesting. I came from a fashion background, so I really should have moved to New York. LA is not a fashion city. New York is a fashion city. And so I came to LA with this book. I mean, I did GQ and L'Officiel and Vogue Italia for Men. And I had all this in my portfolio, and working for Dior and, all these amazing things. And I got to LA, and it would be like a PacSun, commercial. And they'd be like, "Can you do beach waves?" And I was like, there's Armani in my book. What do you mean, can I do beach waves? I mean, So it just was like they wanted really basic. Yeah, it was a really basic miss. And that would happen a lot. And it was really frustrating to me because I had this like pretty artistic book that belonged in New York. And so I got frustrated, and I was just like, and I would get on jobs through my agency, and it'd be $3,000 for a Hugo Boss campaign for the day. And then I wouldn't book another job for another month, so or 2 months sometimes. So it was like, okay, screw this. I'm going to start my own entrepreneurial journey of bringing my business to my loft, and did that. And then I did that all the way up until, and then I went to school for nutrition again in 2017, integrative nutrition online. And I started taking coaching clients because, I was a teacher in academies. And so that's part of my giving back, is I love to teach and help. And so being a nutrition coach made the most sense. And that came through, really discovering my own health journey. When going through, starting, we'll back up to like working at bars and restaurants, and then continuing to drink that way and party that way. And when you have like depression as a kid, it only kind of like brings it back up when you're an adult, right? And so I dealt with a lot of depression and anxiety all through those years when I was drinking a lot. And then I was like, there's got to be a different way. They put me on antidepressants and anti-anxiety pills and all that stuff. So through my 20s and 30s, I was on, all the new things that would come out. Okay, we'd try a different one. And, it didn't work because I was drinking, right? I was still not really, I was feeding the source, which is anxiety can come from alcohol as well, and your gut microbiome. So I went on a journey to heal myself naturally with a naturopathic doctor. And that led me to, in 2015, it led me to, I didn't quit drinking completely, but I laid off a lot. And I quit antidepressants and anti-anxiety pills cold turkey completely. And I started taking supplements that build your neurotransmitters. And I learned that there was actually neurotransmitter tests that naturopaths can give you that can make sure, your levels are in a certain way that regular doctors don't want you to know about. Mm-hmm. And so I got on the journey, and I was like, I want to help others with this kind of stuff. And so that's when I went to nutrition school and was like, I'm going to be a health coach, And so I peppered in coaching and hair until, COVID happened. I didn't completely pivot to only coaching because I was making so much money doing hair. And then when the pandemic happened, that shut everybody's business down in LA. Even people who didn't want to come to your loft. It was just scary for everybody. So I think people were not comfortable. So that crushed my business 100%.
Yep.
That was long-winded.
No, you ripped it. That was awesome. That test for the neural pathways.
Neurotransmitters, yeah.
Neurotransmitters. Mm-hmm. How can you sign up for that? What do you call it? How do you Google it?
There's a company called Senesco, SENSCO. And if a naturopath, uses their products, they have one. A lot of naturopaths or integrative doctors will have it's a urinalysis. And it shows the levels through urine, your dopamine, your norepinephrine, your serotonin. And then you can take things that build those, which is epic.
Yeah.
It's so great. I mean, dopamine, we blow through dopamine all the time, right?
Yeah. SENSCO.
SENSCO, Senesco. Yeah, it's one of the companies of the supplements that I use to heal and to rebuild my neurotransmitters. And they have the test. They're an amazing brain lab. They just have done cutting edge stuff for brain and for people. And it was just such a lifesaver for me.
I'm going to look into that. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's really lovely. And, we blow through dopamine, we blow through GABA, which is something that helps, it's your Zen neurotransmitter that helps you kind of relax and not be hyped up or anxious, helps calm, anger, that kind of thing. So those are two of our neurotransmitters that we use a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's take a moment here to shine a flashlight on something that I think that we don't always get to do in day-to-day conversation, or we might not always get to do it for ourselves. So you've accomplished plenty, right? You became top class when it comes to a hairstylist, right? You've traveled out on your own. You've sought adventure, right? You're here in Austin now building a brand new business, right? Lots of great things. And you've got this mindset of, I want to do it, I'm going to do it, okay? Now, one thing that I notice about people that are achievers is that they might not ever feel fulfilled, which is, it happens sometimes. Let's talk about this. What are you most proud of looking back on your life?
Why is it always so difficult, right? I
had a feeling it was going to.
Yeah, I think my portfolio from living in Milan was pretty insane, and what I created and what I did with my hands. When I look through it, I'm like, wow, that's a magazine that most of the world would want to put their work in. Some of those. So that's pretty epic. And then my last the restaurant that I exited. I sold my half to my business partner, and he changed concepts. But that baby, I designed. I designed the whole restaurant, designed the menu, and that was a really big achievement. Yeah,
it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, because how many businesses fail in the first 2 years? A high percentage.
Mm-hmm.
You got a thriving business all the way to the point where you could sell your half.
It was like,
what?
It was thriving, but I don't think the partnership was thriving, if that makes sense.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah,
you can't control that all the time.
And then he I don't think he was totally on board with the concept. So
a lot of career highlights I'm noticing with your response. Sure. Now, what about you as a person? What are you most proud of about yourself?
I think my personal growth journey of kind of what we're talking about is through relationship, right? And working on relationship with people, mastering anxiety, depression, and doing that. I think that's a huge thing. Doing it through natural ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a huge thing. And there's a lot of people out there taking pills that they might not need to take. That's only masking their challenges.
Yeah. And that's what one of my messages is, like, there's neurotransmitter tests that you don't have to stick a needle in your spine. Like, doctors want you to know, tell you that's the only one that's out there that's relative, and it's not true. So that's a huge thing, right?
Now, I didn't know that, but now I know. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the future, because you've got high aspirations. You don't mess around, okay? You like to go to the top, do things big, the best, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So where are you going with all this?
So my goal with Marché is 3 in Austin, and then to move laterally to the next city that feels sorry, my nose crazy. Next city that feels aligned to the mission of Marché, which is to bridge the gap between the farmers market and the consumer, and to celebrate regenerative farms and to get them out to humans. So more stores than that, most likely, maybe 10 or more. There's not an exact number, but I think 3 in this city would be beautiful.
Yeah.
And yeah, where are
you going with all this?
Where am I going with all this?
Yeah.
Yeah, just to create change. I mean, I think the create change. Yeah. I mean, create food for the masses that I feel good about people eating.
Yes. Yeah. It's so hard to get food that is actually good.
Agreed.
Most of the food is not good, hands down.
Agreed.
Yeah. And there's a lot of tricks out there. It's hard to decipher. You might think you're eating something healthy, when in fact it's not.
Indeed. Greenwashed, we call it.
Greenwashed.
Yeah.
So you're going to change that.
Yes.
That's fired up. It's real fired up. Nice job.
Thank you.
It's great. We need more people like that. So let's say we're 150 years down the road from today, and your great grandkids are watching this. They want to get to know you a little bit better. Is there anything that you would say to them? Is there any kind of message you want to share with your family members down the road?
take care of your health when you're young. Start creating habits in your 20s that can lead you through your old age. I think when people start exercising at 40 and they've never done it before and their body is full of inflammation and they're struggling to get well, or they have autoimmune diseases because they're not eating correctly, and they could start young.
Yeah. Cool. That's a solid message.
Thanks.
Yeah. And if you could have a quick conversation with you as a 10-year-old, what would you say to her right now?
Stay focused. You're going to make some big changes in the world.
You didn't even have to think about that. That's pretty good.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, that just I think is a testament to how focused you are and how in alignment with your purpose in life is.
Thank you.
Yeah. Because it was like, bam, the answer's right in front of you. Because you're on the right track, right? Wouldn't you agree?
I think so.
You're in the groove right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited. My heart's full right now, getting to talk about it. So thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, of course. Now we're gonna wrap this up with a little fun game. Okay? I'm gonna ask you just a couple of questions. First answer that comes to mind.
Okay.
Ready? Best taco shop in Austin.
Ooh, Fresas?
Fresas. Yeah, off South First Street.
Yeah.
Favorite car of all time? Any car.
GT3 RS.
Yep. I actually
Porsche.
knew that answer there. Okay,
Because I drive one.
Sure. Mhm. And
Oh yeah, I saw you at the car rally. That's where we met.
Yep. Who's one person that you want to have a conversation with that is alive today? You'd like to just
Richard
shout.
Branson.
Richard Branson. Oh yeah, different thinker.
Yeah.
That's cool. And who do you look up to the most in life?
Until Richard Branson signed on to do lab-grown meats with Bezos, I think is doing it. I really looked up to him. I still would like to have a conversation with him. I think Peter Diamandis is pretty cool too.
Never heard of him. I'll have to look him up.
Yeah.
He's probably doing some things.
Yeah, he did the X Prize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is either.
Yeah.
I'm uninformed.
Let's do it.
I'll learn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you will. Those are some really cool thinkers that I think I would look up to or want to talk to. I'm trying to think of I don't have any heroes. I mean,
that's fine. And last question.
Yeah.
You wake up every morning and you probably say to yourself, I'm going to get after it today. That's the kind of mindset you adopt. Am I fair? Is it fair to say that?
Sure.
Yeah. Something similar. Right. Where does that energy come from?
Good sleep, if I have it.
No, that's not what I'm talking about, Nico. Or caffeine, coffee. No. Where does it come from? Where does the drive come from?
Yeah, I don't know. It's something. I want to say my dad, to be honest. Like where I've gotten that kind of personality piece to be driven is I'm a lot like him. But where does it come from on a daily? I think it's, I don't know. I feel really good when I'm creating change.
Change. You're driven by change.
Change and doing well financially.
Of course.
Yeah.
That'll come.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Wow. So you're on a mission to help the masses through the avenue of your new market design. Yeah. And I think that the people listening to this are going to be super pumped once it's up and running. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Check out the renderings, guys. What's the website?
Love Marché, LOVEMARCHE.co.
.co. Yeah, check it out. It's really cool. I think it's going to change the game of the market industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fan Market Café.
And then how do people get a hold of you? Let's say they want to chat it up.
Yeah.
Well, let's say they want to help you with the fundraising or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be epic. You can find us Marché ATX on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And I have people helping me with Instagram, but I'm on there often. I'm Round the World, ROUND the world, Instagram, and then my email's nico@lovemarche.co.
Boom, you heard it here first, folks. Nico, you fired up.
Thank you. Yeah, you're awesome. Thanks for having me. I feel like I just let it all out, my friend.
Yeah,
you learned a lot about my life, and that's what you do here. So that's great.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
It takes a lot to be vulnerable, and anybody that listens to this, I know is going to find it helpful in their own life. So thank you. Yeah.
I love that.
And your pup.
This is Keith Moose.
Keith Moose in the house.
Yep. He's awesome.
He's awesome.
It is Nico.
He's cracking me up. He's doing that tongue thing. He's like,
yeah, he just licks the air. I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
I know. Good boy, Keith.
Yeah.
Well, folks, Greg Carlson, Austin Elite Podcast, Nico in the house. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Till next time.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
Ciao.